Call the meeting to order. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Persick.
Here.
Alderman Hall, Larry Hall.
Here.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Here.
Alderman Kerwin.
Here.
Alderman Larry Hall.
I'm here too.
The other one's here also.
Alderman Tudor. Here. Alderman Studer.
Here.
7 present, 1 absent. You have a quorum.
I declare that the regular meeting of the Wilmington City Council on April 22nd, 2014 is now in session. Council, you have approval of the minutes from April 1st before you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from April 1st and have them placed on file.
A motion by Alderman Tudor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Persick. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent. Motion passes.
All right, mayor's report tonight. Actually, kind of speechless. Don't have anything much for a report. I know Tony and you guys have been really extremely busy in regards to this process. This is coming for you guys tonight in regards to the 4th and 5th Amendments. So, it's been a lot of hours and a lot of conversations, not only with the report, I think, and everybody else. So it's a lot of hours and a lot of work to put together for it. So, after mayor's report, we have citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mayor, my name's Ed Hayduk. I'm with Wilmington's VFW.
Ed, can you spell your last name just for the city clerk so you can get it correctly?
Sure. It is H-A-J-D-U-K. D as in David, U-K.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, ma'am. Mayor, I'm here to discuss the property that's behind the furniture store that the VFW would like to purchase.
Okay.
And what I understand, I'm new to this, so please excuse me. What I understand is that back in 2010, the land was appraised at $24,000. Is that correct?
Offhand, I don't know.
Okay.
Just kind of, I know your staff has been talking with our staff in regards to the whole process.
Yes, sir.
I don't know where, I'll be honest with you, I'm sure these guys don't, I don't know where we're at in that process.
Okay.
I know there, whatever the appraised value was back then, or if there's any sale, it usually has to be, if I'm not mistaken, by state statute, it has to be 80% of that value.
That's correct, sir.
So I got to find out, what staff, where they're at with that process.
Well, the email that we received this morning was 19.9,
Okay.
with the value that, I guess, the 80% of.
Okay.
Approximately 99 and some change. We would like to get that lowered, as low as possible, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure what the process is to get that, if we have to submit a bid, or how that works.
Tell you what, I have to defer to legal just to be on the safe side. I know there's an 80% requirement on that, and the city's bound by state statute.
Okay.
Based on the appraised value.
Right.
So, from an obligatory purpose from the city, I think we have to be bound by what the statute says. You can't really budge on that to run into problems down the road.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
And it's nothing against, let me put it this way, I understand where you guys are coming from. We've got to look at it from a whole broad perspective. Is if there's another entity down the road that comes in and said, that we got a parcel of property, you did this, we want the same thing. We have to make sure we meet statutes.
Understand.
And whatever our legal course is. I know we've put it out there before, we've received no offers. I don't think we have to go out there and do it again, right, John?
I believe what the city council did was they commissioned an appraisal, and it came in at a certain amount. I think it may have been $24,000. And state statute allows the city council to, sell it. One way was to advertise for it. Another way would have been to tell the staff to try to sell it. And there is a statute that says you can't sell it for less than 80% of what the appraisal was. So whatever that appraisal was, the city can't go below that 80%. And as long as the city hasn't revoked its direction to staff to go ahead and sell it, and the staff could still go ahead and sell it at the old appraisal price. So,
So now can that, if you don't mind me interrupting, sorry,
No, you
can
don't.
this statute then be changed? Or is it something that can be voted out?
Unfortunately, no, because that's a state statute. State legislature is one that created the statute.
Okay,
And being that we're not home rule anyway, we're bound by state statute, we're bound to follow those statutes. You know, they're basically statutes that are placed by state legislature. So yeah, we'd be obligated to have to meet that state statute.
okay, so there's no wiggle room, if you will, for a veterans organization that would,
It doesn't sound like it.
All right,
It's
sir.
unfortunate, trust me, right, you know? But that, you know, we got to make sure that we meet the rules and objectives. So if something happens in a future endeavor, if it's not, you know, if a veterans organization or some other organization we're looking to sell the property, we got to make sure that, you know, the same rules are applied based on what the state tells us, give us the direction to do. You know, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. I think we're really early in this process. I don't know where, you know, where everything's at. So it's all speculation. I'm just kind of, you know, just from what I've been hearing from Tony. I know Tony was in here, he could probably say more. I don't know where that process is. And for these guys to say, even when that all comes in and Tony's got that proposal in his hand, he's got to still come to these guys.
understand, sir.
And move forward with that process.
Okay, so basically right now, there's nothing that this committee can do, is from what I understand,
No.
is that correct?
Yeah, there'll be no, they won't be able to take any action tonight. I know there's a process that's got to be followed, and I want to make sure that everything's done from a legal perspective.
Understand,
And if that appraisal is at 24 and it's 80%, and then, you know, Tony through legal would advise your guys' staff that this is what the number has to be. If that obligation can't be met, then, you know, I don't know if there's other ways or not. I don't know. You know, I'm not going to guess if there is. I don't. From what I'm seeing, there's not. So,
question for the committee, if we were to get a second appraisal that somehow is lower than the 24,000, can that then be submitted?
I think that's one of the questions we're going to have to find out.
Okay,
You know, really, it's nothing from an action standpoint that we can take tonight.
all right,
But that's a very good question that we can find out, and we could have, you know, our attorneys research that through legal. And then, you know, as your staff, Gina, or whatever, and Terry get with Tony, then, you know, that communication goes between staff when everything's ready, and that's the direction that we can go. Granted, the appraisal could be higher than 24, you know, because it's several years down the road, you don't know.
that is
So
correct.
that's something we just have to look at. And I think if we allow staff on both parties to kind of work to that, to get to that end where we're trying to get to, I think it'll be better for all of us. And then we just go from that standpoint. But yeah, we have to recognize what statute is, and we have to abide by that.
Understand, sir, because we're looking out, I mean, it's a good thing for the VFW if we can get that land and pave it, but we're also looking out for the safety of our, you know, our citizens, because it is, right, you know, you've been back there. You know, you get the elderly walking back there, it's rained, it's muddy, people's cars gets damaged, so I'm looking out for my citizens, and I'm just making sure that nobody gets hurt, that's all we're trying to do.
Right. And I mean, it can be a long process too, Ed, because I mean, even, you're looking at property that basically is on the opposite side of the street, which is the city street. So you're gonna wanna make sure that everything's, you know, the whole process, because there may be a thing where there's maybe a vacation in the street to make things work better. There may be talks of, I know there was talks earlier, before in the past of vacating the alley behind you. But I believe a lot of the utilities run there, so it's really a non-buildable, non-anything, you know, back there because of the utilities that run back there. So, and that's processes that can go through the building department, go through engineering and stuff like that. So it's a process that might take a couple months, you know.
Understand, sir.
And I didn't want to dance.
Gentlemen,
You're fine.
It wasn't.
I think what we got to do is,
that looks like,
yeah, I think that what we got to do, and you got to remember, it's a government process, and it's slow.
so that I
Okay.
understand.
But we'll try to see where we, you know, where everything lies. I mean, let's make sure we do it right.
Understand, sir.
And we go through that process, so.
Roger that.
That's what I want to make sure of.
Okay. I understand. If we could just, as Domingo was saying, if we could just keep communication going between the
Yeah,
both parties.
and I mean, you're gonna have, just like we kind of expect that from our staff to communicate to all of us, you know, and I expect our staff to be communicating that to your staff and your staff getting it off to your staff. So hopefully that works and that happens, so,
Roger that.
all right?
All right, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Ed. Thanks, guys. Any other citizens comments?
Go ahead, ma'am.
I'll just go in.
Go hog, go hog.
On a separate issue, separate item, flags over the bridge.
Yes.
We were wondering how come we can't have the flags fly every day over the bridge. Other communities do it, the state does it over the highways, they have their flags on the bridge when you're driving down 55. We were just wondering how come we can't do it.
Well, I think a lot of the concern I had was because of lighting issues. And I think it was a project that it's a beginning project. But I think in the future, we'd also like to see not only just the American flags, but a mixture of, you know, maybe Route 66 or things that advertise and promote the city as it goes on. One of the things that was talked about when those flags were to go up was to eventually put in the center of either side of the bridge was a much larger flag that would be lighted and would be remain on at all times. Then we get the solar lighting and stuff like that. Now, it would allow us, with the 12 flags we got on each side, to become interchangeable. You know, so not only can it have American flags, but if we got, like, say, the red carpet corridor going on or something, you know, from a city standpoint, with Route 66, we could get Route 66 flags. We work with the chamber on stuff like that. We work with the school when they got their football going, where they could put their Wildcat flags on. So I think it was the start of something that could become much bigger. And actually, what we did was what, September, October, just before it started to get cold, which was like about 8 months ago, when it started to get cold. So it's not, it wasn't a beginning project and an end project. I think it was just the beginning project, and we just kind of want to expand it from there. And the people I've talked about were very instrumental in putting this all together. It wasn't just a bridge thing. We want to see that kind of expand throughout, you know, up to 53 and 102, and, you know, just, I mean, flags really represent a welcoming aspect to the community. We see that when we do our welcome homes. I know Paul, when he's got the guys, like this last weekend, when he's got him on the back of Grilling for Freedom, he makes, you know, he makes it known that he's going to go over that bridge to let people, let them see the flag before he brings them in. So, yeah. I think some of the issues when we did this was at flag etiquette and the lighting.
Of course, I agree with that.
And so that was the concern. You know, and I know we got volunteers, John's one of the volunteers as well, that, you know, be more willing to put them up every weekend. But I'd like to see it also become more than, you know, when we have other activities go on, to be included on that. And then I'll work with these guys as far as putting more of a permanent flag that's centered on either side to be up permanently. And we'll just, you know, solar light it and all that other good stuff. So.
All right, that's all I want to say. And I just want to say thanks for all you guys' help, so appreciate
No
it.
problem, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. Any other citizens' comments? All right, where we at?
Planning and zoning.
Planning and Zoning Commission, we got two issues, 2 items tonight in regards to site plans for approval. Alderman Persick, I believe you got that before you.
Yes, sir. I move to approve the site plan for Petro Stopping Center, project by Ridge Logistics Park 1 LLC, as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I have a motion by Alderman Persick, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Tudor, do we have any discussion?
Do we have a time on this, when they're gonna start this?
Yeah, I'll let Jennifer address that one.
Sure. We are soliciting bids from contractors right now for the construction. We expect to have those within the next 2 weeks. And as soon as we select a contractor, we would be able to move forward. So I would say by the end of May, construction.
Any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent, motion passes.
And Mayor, ready?
Yes.
So I move to approve the site plan for Project Lego and by Ridge Logistics Park 1 LLC and recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Motion by Alderman Persick, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tudor, any discussion?
I have the same question. Jennifer, when is the construction?
This one's on a little bit faster time schedule. We've selected Ledcor Construction as our contractor, and it's really a matter of the lease being finalized and signed, which we're hoping is any day now, and then we would be able to begin construction, assuming we have all of the
So if you get all the necessary documents and everything done, you could, actually next week, they can start to mobilize.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, you selected a general contractor already?
We did.
And what was the name?
Ledcor Construction?
Pardon?
Ledcor, L-E-D.
L-E-D-C-O-R-P.
Oakbrook.
Yeah, they've been out there doing most of it.
They've been doing our Phase 1 subdivision improvements.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent, motion passes.
Planning and Zoning's next regularly scheduled meeting is Thursday, May 1st, 2014, at 6 o'clock p.m. Committee reports, Building Grounds, Parks, Health and Safety Committee, Alderman Persick, Alderman Van Dyne.
Mr. Mayor, the next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, May 14th, 2014 at 6 p.m.
All right, Water, Sewer, Streets and Alleys Committee, Alderman Studer, Alderman Kerwin.
Next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, May 14th, 2014 at 5:30 p.m.
Police and ESDA, Alderman Studer, Alderman Tudor.
I have two, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the hire of a replacement officer, police officer for the vacant position at the Wilmington Police Department.
Have a motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Tudor, any discussion?
Yes, I have something to say. This goes back to when we were discussing the sergeant spot, that this particular officer's name came up in discussion that night. And the attorney for the commission said that there would be no problem providing that no other full-time policeman scored higher than this particular officer. Well, I asked a couple of weeks ago for a copy of the test, and I was told we cannot have that, which I still believe that as an executive session, we should be able to get it, but I'm not going to question it from this point. We know at one point in time that this particular officer was in third place behind two other full-time policemen from another town or location. We also know that we sent this part-time police officer to a couple of schools when the police chief made comments that we did not have full-time staff qualified to be sergeants. So we sent a part-timer to a couple of schools at the taxpayer's expense. To me, it looks like we were setting it up for this guy to become a full-timer regardless of where he ends up on the score list. Now, the man took the written test, was third behind two other full-timers. Then all of a sudden, when it's all done, he was #1 guy on the list. Okay? I'm looking at the fact that already the commissioner's attorney made a comment that night about that person and said, this is what's got to be done. I feel that it's a little shaky, and without seeing the paperwork or anything, I have my doubts, okay? So,
Can I
I'm
ask a,
totally confused on it.
can I ask a question? Are we, he's talking about the sergeant's test.
no, I'm talking about the new hire person that they're going to hire.
Okay, okay. But was that is the new full-time police officer that we're asking to approve, did that individual not come from the list of candidates that went through the testing process?
Alderman,
I think we need to take a step back because
Okay, I'm
what it is,
confused.
you guys are looking to approve the hire of a replacement officer for
That's
the
right.
vacant position. There's been no name selected in this replacement,
I agree.
okay? There is a new list out of new hires. Okay, there is a new list, there's a list out there of new hires that have went through the whole testing process as performed by standard in the police commission. Okay, regardless of who number one is, no big deal. The person actually that's on that number one on that list has already been hired full-time as a Bridgeport replacement officer. There's been no name selected, as far as I'm known, I can look at my chief and my deputy chief, that there is no name selected for this position because you guys have no idea if you can replace that person, yes or not, yet or not.
That's
wrong
correct.
answer,
We
Mayor.
have-
No, that is not the wrong answer.
That's the wrong
Yeah.
answer, Mayor. The gentleman that is in question has not been hired for the patrolman out at Ridge. Am I correct?
Nobody's been hired for it yet.
Okay, so I don't know.
But a conditional offer of employment was given to him by the police commission.
Correct.
For the number one position.
And I'm gonna, okay,
This was, everything that I said was before there was even an exam given.
but,
No.
You was there that night.
I know, okay, so, but the responsibility of the city
You was
council
there
is to
too.
approve,
There's two separate, you're talking about two separate things.
the approval.
No, I'm talking about that we're looking at hiring a person that was already questioned that night when we was having the sergeant meeting. It was already questioned, that person's name came up that night.
But.
And now all of a sudden, that person went from number 3 on the written test. I heard rumors out there, I shouldn't say rumors, but I heard that he did not do very well on his oral exam, but then finally, one of the commissioners told the deputy chief one Saturday that your person is number 1 on the list now.
I believe the number 1 on the list was number 2 after the written and number 1 after the combined scores.
I was told different.
Well, the list is posted.
I wanted to see the raw score, and I was told I can't.
But the,
No, the raw score is posted out here.
That was posted by standard.
But the written and the orals and the benefit points are all out there. It's all explained out there, all the way across. It shows you the overall written, it shows you the overall,
You know, maybe
Well-
if things were a little bit more up and up on the thing,
Oh, I think,
I would have
I think
a
you're getting
little better.
misinformation, and all we're doing is looking to hire
Okay.
but is it not,
police officer.
is it not, correct me if I'm wrong, please? Is it not the responsibility of the city council to approve the expenditure for a police officer? It is then up to the police commission to decide who gets that position. So all the city council is responsible to do is approve the expenditure for the budget for that police
Correct.
officer.
And if-
Make sure the
what-
line's in the
Basically, this whole process is, we had an officer that is no longer working.
I understand all of
We're looking to replace
that.
that officer, there's no change in the budget or whatever. But we're looking to replace that officer. Do we need to replace that officer? Yes, we have an obligation for public safety in this community. Okay? And we need to keep our manpower as best as we can. We're not increasing the budget one bit. In fact, if you want to really look at
We're
it, the
decreasing.
budget would actually decrease slightly because you're replacing an officer that had been with the city for 20-plus years, accumulated a massive amount of vacation, and replaced that with a new officer. So there is actually a cost savings benefit into it. So I know we're getting off point, there's a lot of innuendos and stuff going on around it right now. It's being paid, but what we're looking at right now is to approve the hire of that replacement police officer.
One thing you have forgotten, Alderman, too, is it's our responsibility to protect the taxpayers. So if there is an opportunity for a lawsuit or something, per what that attorney said that night, then yes, we are,
I think you're talking two different tests there, Alderman.
I'm not talking two different tests. I know exactly the test I'm talking
The test in
about.
question was the sergeant's test, not the new hire.
No. The man's name was brought up that night, sitting right there at the table by that attorney. And everybody that was in here knows just what I'm saying.
And it was in reference to the sergeant.
No, it was not, or not that. It
One thing
was
Alderman
in
Hall is
reference
referring
to.
to, there is a request by the chief of police, the police commission. It was a police commission meeting, not an alderman meeting.
Right.
And the request was, could they, this officer's a former officer from Wilmington, could they rescind his resignation and put him back on as a lateral because he didn't take the lateral test?
Correct.
And the attorney said no. You have to go through all the regular testing
So the new hire.
for non-home rule facilities, so or non-home rule agency, he'd have to go through all the testing,
Right.
which he did do.
Right, and he receives that officer would receive no seniority points, no nothing, he comes in right as a new officer.
Correct.
But he also said that if any other officer that was full-time already and scored better than he did, you have to hire them first.
There's a provision in the Police Commission Act that talks about law enforcement, certified law enforcement officers. It's still up to the commission to make that decision. So the commission, you see the scores from standard, and then they post it, so.
Well,
So the question to be asking the commission.
We already have that question already, so.
Right.
So the commission is the listing, put the listing up there, correct?
We have no,
And what the attorney did say is, before the chief could even appoint somebody from that new list, they have to, the corporate authorities have to give the right back to the commission for a vacancy, a replacement officer, or a new hire, or a new person in the budget. So that's what's in front of you today, is the corporate authorities to allow him to fill that vacancy. And then it goes back to the commission, once the act is done today, yes or no, and tells the commission, the corporate authorities have given permission to replace that officer. Then they send out a conditional offer of appointment to the next candidate. So,
the top candidate's already been sent to the conditional offer.
Number one candidate, and the reason I know
To
that
fill
is
the
because
position.
we schedule all the testing, the physical and the drug testing and things like that, that the commission asks us to do for that officer.
Now, this officer that you're gonna hire is going to be for the city, not for Richmond.
Correct. It's the replacement officer for,
Okay, so the sergeant.
And the money is in the budget.
yes.
We don't know.
Absolutely, the budget doesn't change.
This is a new year.
No, we're still in the existing year, and it's been the same budget for 20-something years that he's been there.
And a couple of years ago, when this officer left, because we were laying off 2 police officers,
You're talking about a different officer.
we'll see if I'm wrong.
Okay,
I hope I am.
I'm pretty sure you are. All right, any other discussion? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Alderman
Hold
Larry.
on, we need
Yes,
a
sir.
second first. I made a motion, does anybody second?
I did.
Yes.
Did you
Fran.
second? Okay.
Yeah, there's already been a motion in a second, I'm sorry, Alderman Stewart. We wouldn't have the discussion had there not been a second. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Larry Hall.
No,
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
I'm,
You're fine.
thank you. Alderman Kirby Hall.
No.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes,
We have 2 yes, I'm sorry, we have 5 yes, 2 no, 1 absent, motion passes.
There you go.
Goodness sakes. And I
Okay.
apologize to you both.
I have one more, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the proposal submitted by Ramport Incorporated to block up 5 windows at the ESDA building for $10,515 not to exceed.
Motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second? Second. Second by Alderman Kerwin, any discussion?
Just for clarification on the contract, Ramcor has stated that if the ESDA crew does do some of that maintenance work before they come in, he will reduce, that's why it's not to exceed. So if some of the work that is being done by the ESDA volunteers, then we'll be spending less dollars.
Due to the fact that there's only been 1 bid, my vote is going to be no.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
No.
Alderman Van Dyne.
No.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
We have 5 yes, 2 no, 1 absent, motion passes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, May 13th, 2014 at 5:30 PM.
Finance Administration Land Acquisition Committee, Alderman Studer, Alderman Studer.
I have one, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve the accounts payable report dated April 22nd, 2014, in the amount of $306,608.91, and the March 14th, 2014 collector's report in the amount of $268,372.16.
Motion by Alderman Tudor, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Persick. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, I move to approve the Fourth Amendment to the annexation agreement between the City of Wilmington and Ridge Logistics Park 1 LLC, and authorize the mayor to approve upon legal review.
Motion by Alderman Tudor, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Kirby Hall.
Just for the clerk's clarification, the mayor votes on the Fourth Amendment to the annexation agreements, that's a required mayor vote, which also requires a supermajority, which would be 6 votes.
All right, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
We have 8 yes, 1 absent, motion passes.
Okay, I move to approve the Fifth Amendment to the redevelopment agreement between the City of Wilmington and Ridgeport Development Services LLC, Ridgeport Logistics Center LLC, Ridge Logistics Park 1 LLC, Ridge Lego Partners LLC, and Ridge Management Team LLC, and to authorize the mayor to approve upon legal review.
A motion by Alderman Tudor, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Kerwin, any discussion?
This needs a supermajority vote, doesn't need the mayor unless there's only 5 votes.
We will need the mayor, did you say?
No.
Do not need the mayor.
Do not need the mayor. Thank you.
All right, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 absent, motion passes.
Thank you.
Next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, May 20th at 6 p.m.
All right, ordinance and license, Alderman Kirby Hall.
Mr. Mayor, the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, May 13th, 2014 at 6 p.m.
Personnel collective bargaining, Alderman Hall, Alderman Persick, we do have executive session.
No, we won't need an executive session. We haven't had a chance to review the.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No executive?
Sorry. I know you're looking forward to it.
No.
And that
You
position,
don't want me on
we were anticipating receiving possibly an offer on the Third Street property.
They were actually here discussing that.
Oh, they did.
We were stepped out,
Okay.
there was members of the VFW wanting those process. I kind of explained to them that there's staffing going back and forth. They're looking forward to support, just to kind of, they're looking at possibly lower amounts, lower that by statute. But then there's other discussions, so we just got to make sure with the communication open between both parties.
Okay. And there's no need for an executive session for that?
Yep.
And personnel, that's in regards to the Public Safety Employment Benefit Act, which is in regards to when an officer gets injured on duty, they have the right to apply for health benefits. We did receive that application for the officer that was a pension board for the disabled, but the application was lacking some documentation. So until we receive that documentation, we won't have an opinion to be able to give city council in regards to that. So we'll have that probably in a couple of weeks, we're told. So we'll need that executive.
Is that your report?
Yeah. That report? Oh, no, there's one thing, it's important always, is an update on our police facility. As we all well know, it's moving along. As you see, we're getting ready to put the siding on. The interior is moving forward. the most important part is always cost. We're still within budget, and we anticipate to stay within budget. The only extraordinary expenses that so far were incurred because of the winter was storage for the furnishings. They're anticipating it might be about $1,000 to pay for that storage. You know, it's been over 90 days that when they're supposed to be able to deliver that. I am talking to some of the contractors that is storing and trying to have them waive that storage. We'll see what happens. So the anticipated, I would say this, by 4th of July, we're going to be at the new police station.
Just gonna get Pam one there back there.
Never mind. So far, everything is going well, right on schedule. Since the weather's changed, it's on schedule. The Buchanan, I know we've had a couple of aldermen ask about the Buchanan sidewalk. When Kobe gets back, he's working with Mancuso for the bid on that, and what work possibly our public works could do. And what our schedule is trying to get that Buchanan sidewalk built in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So people will be able to not walk in the street. Any questions about the police facility?
No, thank you.
We have a new business that's applied for a license, a business license, but I thought it was important to talk about him. Mike and Cartage, House of Trucks, you can talk about it already?
No,
Oh,
you know I could, or I would have.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, everything's going kind of fast. The House of Trucks is, has an agreement with Mike and Cartage out there on the Route 53 and North River Road. So they convert their license, which basically is our registration. They plan on doing some, getting prepared to open up their sales facility there. So they will be selling the tractor trailers and parts. We anticipate them coming into our town, be new revenue, sales tax, because they will be selling new products that have sales tax to it. We'll have a little more of an update. They're running some of their numbers now. I don't think they publicly want to talk about their projected sales yet, but by time budget, I'll have a number that we can assume in our sales tax. Probably create about 3 jobs, maybe 5 jobs.
They'll have a lot of customers driving by there.
Yes, they will. We did go out to bid today for the temporary lights at South Arsenal and 53. If you remember, you approved that about maybe 6-8 weeks ago. And the bids will be open on the 29th. And as soon as the bids get open, it's a pretty easy project, temporary lights. So we're hoping to get lights up in South Arsenal and 53 by, at least by June. Mid-June, I would think we'd have them up and operating, which would definitely help out with the safety before the construction starts. We'll be going to bid on the 53 South Arsenal. The bid letting is in June, what they call the June bid letting for IDOT, which is really in May. We hope to have that thing awarded in July or sooner, and they'll be able to start construction on that intersection in July. The U.S. Cold Storage, Route 53 Pieto, we finally finished up all the final right-of-way acquisitions and things like that that we need to do. So we'll try to make the bid letting for that one probably right around the 2nd week in June. So we should be able to start that project and have that project moving forward. A lot of congestion will be out there with those 2 intersections going on, but you know, hopefully by November we'll have 2 nice new intersections with traffic controls and the exemption lights. And the one thing that we are doing with this project is we are synchronizing using the smart traffic for these 3 lights to be synchronized. They are going to be interconnected. So some of the new IDOT software will be put into these lights, which basically means usually if you start at one location, you should be able to go through the 3 lights without being stopped in each one. It usually works in theory pretty well. We'll see. With truck traffic, there's sometimes a challenge a little bit. If we had 4-lane highway, I would say we're great, but we'll have to work on that a little bit after we get started. But they will have the pre-exemptions, so our safety, our vehicles will be able to go through if they have to for any type of emergencies. U.S. Cold Storage, as you know, they were pouring concrete. They'll be going up with walls hopefully in the next week or 2, and on schedule to try to get their project done by September. And bring those 55 jobs to our community and $14 million of investment to build that facility there. So,
Tony, do you know when they're gonna come get the trailers out of the city hall?
We're putting pressure on them now. We're asking them to be out of here in the next week. I didn't have an answer by today, but I sort of told them to be out of here. And
Now
then
we're
we
gonna
gotta
start charging the storage fee.
Yeah.
Well, and we gotta see, I mean, it's time for them to go because we also gotta see our parking lot damage, which they're responsible for.
Oh.
So, because there's a few spots where it's sunk in, you know,
From the heat.
from there. We'll put the pressure on.
All right,
Thank you.
that's all you have there, Mr. Graff?
Yeah, I'll do it for now.
All right, I know you can talk. All right, attorney's report, Mr. Urban.
No report tonight.
All right, no executive action. Next regularly city council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 6, 2014, at 7 o'clock p.m. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Second. Favor?
Who was-